Hey guys, welcome back to Based MMA. Is Jamal Hill going crazy? Because the last couple of days, Jamal Hill has been arguing with people on Twitter and just going crazy on them, man. This guy's going nuts. He's clearly losing his mind. And, I'm actually a big Jamal Hill fan, and I think the guy has a lot of potential. I think he's very skilled. I think he's very underrated by the MMA fans in terms of his MMA skill. I feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves. But lately, I feel like he's just been losing his mind, man. I mean, there's been tweets that I'm about to read in a bit of him fighting with fans that support him, which is absolutely insane. And Jamal Hill has been dealing with a lot, man. He's been dealing with a lot. Well, one, he became the champion last year in January. He finally got some sort of respect from the MMA community and from the UFC. He got injured in the summer, had to relinquish his belt. He's not the champion anymore. He's still dealing with that injury. And finally, there's some talks of potentially Jamal Hill coming back in the next couple of months and finally facing Alex Pereira. But a lot of fans, they think that Jamal Hill's not very good. A lot of people don't like Jamal Hill. And, he's also dealing with a domestic violence case with his brother, which I'm sure he's having a lot of personal issues right now. And, he goes online and he reads some of these tweets and he loses his mind, which is not a good look, man. Even if you're right? Because a lot of these MMA fans, a lot of these trolls on Twitter, they have no life and they get joy out of life, out of, hating on other people that are doing better than them. So I completely understand them from that point of view, but it's just never a good look for you to be the one losing your mind, because you're the one that's a fighter. You're the one that, I guess has a status in this situation. But let's just look at some of these tweets. I mean, let's look at this tweet. Jamal Hill tweets, so I get asked a question in an interview and answer with legitimate facts. I'm crying, but y'all sit on burner accounts sucking off grown men and complaining about others' achievements that have achieved more than you in life. Yeah, okay. And a fan comments, we need you to humble Alex Pereira, champ, right? Clearly supporting Jamal Hill, right? This guy is not, he's not shitting on Jamal Hill or anything like that. And what does Jamal Hill respond with? Jamal Hill says, humble my nuts, bro. I'm humble to those that humble themselves. Point in fact, who are to tell me to be humble? What experience do you have with what I do daily? And the fan comments down below. The fan's probably like, whoa, bro, I'm supporting you. I'm on your side. And the fan says, relax, bro. I'm simply saying that we're all rooting for you to become champ again. So this is like a prime example of Jamal Hill losing his mind. Like, clearly this guy needs to hop off social media because he's not right in the head. And, any little criticism, he takes it too hard, when you really shouldn't take it too hard, because you're right. Like, these guys on Twitter, like, they're not UFC champion. They're probably not UFC fighters. Maybe they train MMA or whatsoever, but it's still irrelevant. And you're answering to them, and then you're pissed about it, and then you lash out on a guy that is supporting you, that is saying like, hey, we need you to humble Alex Pereira, champ. So this is just one example of Jamal Hill losing his mind. But there's also been videos that I've seen of Jamal Hill complaining about the fact that he's not in the pound for pound rankings anymore, and that he's never been dropped, and how like he deserves to be higher in the pound for pound rankings compared to some of those guys in the pound for pound rankings. So he's been complaining because deep down the guy feels disrespected. He feels that he does not get the credit he deserves from the MMA community, from the UFC, and like I said, he's also dealing with a lot of personal issues. So Jamal Hill is clearly not right in the head. He's also dealing with an Achilles injury, which is probably one of the worst injuries you could have as a fighter. So, and there's also a lot of pressure with him returning. A lot of fans think that he's going to lose to Alex Pereira, that he's going to get knocked out. And even though like the fans have the right to their opinion, you as a fighter, you need to have self-control and not read them, and definitely don't respond to them, because once you respond to them, most of the time you're gonna be the one that ends up looking foolish, in my opinion. Because you're the one that has the status in this situation. But look, like I said, I'm a Jamal Hill fan. There's a lot of people that don't like Jamal Hill. He is a very salty fighter. That's the one thing I will admit as a Jamal Hill fan. The guy is very, very salty. But I think the guy's good for the sport. I think he can make the sport very exciting. I think I really like him as a light heavyweight champion. I think he has a good chance of beating a lot of these fighters, especially if he's able to come back from that Achilles injury and really return back to form. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys. If Jamal Hill was not coming off, not fighting for over a year, and if he was not coming off that Achilles injury, I would pick him in a heartbeat to beat Alex Pereira. I really think the guy's that good. I think his striking is very underrated. He put a master class on Glover Teixeira in Brazil, just absolutely shut him down. And I get it, Glover Teixeira was coming off that Yuri Prohaska war, but still what Jamal Hill did was very impressive. And I was honestly one of the few people that picked Jamal Hill to win that fight. A lot of people were underestimating Jamal Hill going into that Glover Teixeira fight. Once he beat Glover Teixeira, a lot of people gave Jamal Hill the respect he deserved. A lot of people were like, man, Jamal Hill is a good guy. He's going to be a good champion. And I love Jamal Hill as a champion. I think there's a lot of exciting matchups you can make with Jamal Hill. I mean, Jamal Hill versus Yuri Prohaska, absolute banger. Jamal Hill versus Magomed Ankalaev, absolute banger. Jamal Hill versus Alex Pereira, absolute banger. So the guy stylistically, when it comes to MMA skills, I think he's one of the most exciting light heavyweight fighters right now. And if he's able to come back, because he's already tweeting about potentially coming back against Alex Pereira potentially in May. That's what I'm thinking, right? Because that UFC 301 card is taking place in Brazil. So it makes a lot of sense for them to fight at UFC 301. Maybe the UFC ends up making Jamal Hill versus Alex Pereira for UFC 300, but I don't really see them going in that direction. If they were to do that, I would be pretty happy. But I think it just makes more logical sense for them to make Jamal Hill versus Alex Pereira for UFC 301 in Brazil. So like I said, if Jamal Hill is able to return, you know, if he's really able to return to form, if he really took care of that injury, if he's in shape, guys, because Jamal Hill gains a lot of weight in the offseason, in between fights. And the more you do that, that takes a big toll on your body and you're just more prone to injuries. So I hope Jamal Hill is actually taking care of his body. But it seems like he's dealing with a lot of stuff, man, especially mentally. The fact that he's lashing out with fans on Twitter, like it's irrelevant. Like you're fighting with Ben Davis, like on Twitter, like, bro, who cares about Ben Davis? You know what I'm saying? Like stop interacting with the trolls on Twitter. Focus on yourself, focus on your UFC career, because like I said, I'm a fan of the guy and I think he has a lot of potential. And if he's able to return against Alex Pereira and beat him, because I do think Jamal Hill has a very good chance of knocking out Alex Pereira. The only reason why I can't really say that with full confidence is because he's coming off an Achilles injury. If he was not coming off that Achilles injury and not having fought for over a year, I would say, man, Jamal Hill is going to light up Alex Pereira. I think Jamal Hill has better hands. Maybe he has to be worried about those leg kicks. But I think Jamal Hill is very explosive on the feet, has a lot of power, good takedown defense. Alex Pereira is not going to be shooting for a takedown, so Jamal Hill really has to only be worried about the striking. And I think Jamal Hill is very strong. I mean, we saw what he's done to guys like Johnny Walker, what he did to Glover Teixeira, Thiago Santos. I mean, that fight was a little bit more competitive, and then he was able to come back in the fourth round and win. But still, like I said, I think Jamal Hill has a lot of potential. I think he could be stylistic nightmare for someone like Magomed Ankalaev. I think I would pick Jamal Hill to beat Magomed Ankalaev. Maybe not right now, because I need to see how Jamal Hill comes back against Alex Pereira for me to be really confident in his potential. But like I said, I think he has a lot of potential. And I just think he's losing his mind a little bit. I think Jamal Hill's losing his mind. I think he needs to ground himself, go on that Yuri Prohaska route and, you know, meditate and spend some time with nature, get off social media, go on a social media cleanse and get your mind together, because you're fighting with fans that support you, man. Like, what's wrong with you? You need to chill. You have fans out here. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, man. Everybody has haters. I mean, not everybody, but MMA fighters, all of them have haters. There's a bunch of trolls online with nothing to do. Don't pay attention to them, because what they want is a reaction out of you, and that's exactly what they're getting. You're giving them exactly what they want. So I think Jamal Hill needs to chill out. You know, like I said, I'm very, very excited for his return. Even his biggest haters know that Jamal Hill in the light heavyweight division is very exciting, a very exciting fighter with knockout power. And, you know, he's also a guy that talks trash. So that's going to be very fun in his build-up against Alex Pereira, in his build-up against Magomed Ankalaev. He potentially fights Yuri Prochazka down the line. So there's a lot of exciting matchups for Jamal Hill. And I feel like he's wasting a lot of his energy just interacting with people on Twitter. Like I said, the guy gains a lot of weight in the offseason. He needs to make sure that he goes into Alex Pereira fight in shape and not just the training camp in shape. Like right now, he needs to be losing weight, start training slowly, and see how you do with that injury, because an Achilles injury is not some light injury. It's a very, very serious injury. We'll see if he comes back the same. Like I said, if he was fighting Alex Pereira last year and he would have never gotten injured with that Achilles injury, I would have picked him to beat Alex Pereira. Now, you know, man, I could see Alex Pereira hurting him on the feet. It's a lot more competitive matchup because Jamal Hill has not been very active. And if we've learned anything in the last couple pay-per-views, is that, you know, when fighters are not, inactivity kills. Like when fighters are not active, it really shows in their performance, and they get ring rust. You know, they don't perform the same. They're not as confident in their ability. They're more gun shy. So I think Jamal Hill needs to make sure that he takes Alex Pereira with full seriousness. And with the fact that he's been talking a lot of shit and he feels very disrespected, it's going to be very embarrassing if he comes back and then he gets beat by Alex Pereira. You know what I'm saying? He's going to get shit on. It's going to be very embarrassing for his career. But like I said, I think the guy's losing his mind. I think he needs to get his mental health together. You know, he needs to go off of social media. He needs to go on a social media cleanse. Don't respond to any of these trolls. And yeah, I'm a big Jamal Hill fan. Like I said, I think the guy's very underrated. I think he has the great skills. I think he has a good chance of beating Alex Pereira. We just have to see how he comes back from that injury, guys. But let me know what you guys think down below. If you agree with me, would you disagree with me? Are you a fan of Jamal Hill? Do you also think he's losing his mind? But whatever you think, guys, please make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.